Welcome inside episode 479 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Piller out in Vancouver. And now the Senators come home from another 3-game road trip with 1 win, 1 loss, and 1 overtime point.
Hey, they're just keeping it consistent. You got to love that. And Ross, finally, we get some important scoring from Tim Stützle as he gets the game winner, and not just any game winner, a highlight reel goal to beat the Columbus Blue Jackets 2-1 for the Sens.
It's also been a very long time since the Senators have given up less than 2 goals in a game. They did that last night. 2-1 victory. Tons to break down, so let's get right to it. This is the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.
Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Today is Monday, January 27th, and Pilsy, Tim Stützle, game-winning goal. The Sens come home victorious. It's a great Monday morning.
Absolutely. Yeah. What a way to cap off that road trip. And thank goodness they were able to get a win after that disappointing loss to Washington. And we talked about it in the intro. Tim Stützle finally gets a meaningful goal, and not only that, but it was a goddamn beauty as he shows McDavid-esque speed breaking through the middle of the 2 defenders there, past Werenski, and then outweights Elvis Meriläinen for a nice backhand touch. Absolutely beautiful goal from the Superstar.
His second game-winning goal of the season, but Pilsy, the first one didn't have the same effect because at the time, it made a game 4-0 against the Pittsburgh Penguins. However, then the Penguins came back and lost 6-3. So comeback is a little short, just like Ottawa fell short in their comeback in Pittsburgh. But Pilsy, this time it was the game-winning goal and the goal that won them the game, if that makes any sense. He was the difference maker. Take us through what you saw on that effort.
Well, first off, you guys know me. I always love to shout out the assist, and that was a great little side dish by Formanton right in the neutral zone there. And this is what Timmy does best, I find, as a centerman, is carrying that puck through the neutral zone, and then he sees an opportunity. The defensemen are kind of giving him a lot, like their gap control is not very good, both of them. And Timmy says, hey, I've already got some momentum here. I think I can burst right past them. And he does just that. And then not only that, I think normally we would have seen Tim Stützle try to get a quick shot off, but he had a couple tricks up his sleeve and he outweights Meriläinen. And yeah, that backhand was just perfectly timed. And you got to love to see that from Tim Stützle. And Ross, too, Jake Bean was on that play and he kind of did the controller died skate. Like he was just watching, like he had the best seat in the house to watch that Tim Stützle goal. He's just standing there letting it happen. So it's fortunate for Timmy that he got that space, but you got to tip your hat to all that speed he was able to muster to get past all those Columbus Blue Jackets players.
One of them was Zack, one of the best defensemen in the league, who got burned by Alex Formanton and his speed. But those two had a somewhat new, albeit different, always line mate in this game. We're going to get to the lines because I found them very interesting and how DJ Smith utilized them in this 2-1 victory. But that game-winning goal almost didn't happen. I was shocked that both guys didn't get a holding penalty going down the other way. Eric Branstrom and whoever the Blue Jacket was, they were both grappling with each other trying to get to that puck.
Yeah, well, I mean, if the refs are looking at that, I guess it just cancels each other out, right? So you just let the play go on, and thankfully that happened for once. The reffing, we could talk about refs on this show, Ross, because they helped us out here, and it was a good no call, I'd say, and Timmy's especially thankful for that no call.
Okay, so that happened in the end of the second period with like less than 2 minutes left. It was a perfect timed goal to go in feeling good about yourself as a team and in a situation where they don't lose when they're winning after 2 periods. Pilsy, get this. If they're losing or tied after 2 periods, their record is 2-19-2. When they're leading after 2 periods after last night, 10-1-1.
Wow, that's incredible. Like for the Sens to be able to hold on to those leads is really a testament to some of the other players. Like, and we can get into it, but your Gambrells, your who else is on that line? Nick Paul,
Watson, after coming off probably his most time on ice as an Ottawa Senator. Yeah, DJ Smith went right back to them last night. And hey, it worked out well. They shut things down. Even there were 2 penalties, both against Ottawa in the first period. And then Ottawa had 3 separate power plays in the second. But Pilsy, just like we did last night in the postcast, we've gotten way too far into this show without giving a hat tip to the Tendy in goal, because Anton Forsberg was absolutely incredible in this game. And even though it wasn't really the volume of shots in the first period, 14 of them, sure, but the quality of saves he was making, the 2 just point blank saves, backdoor, unbelievable goaltending. It could have been 3-1 by the end of that first period.
Yeah, absolutely. Forsberg definitely deserves the stick taps, and I believe he was the first star of the game. Well deserved too, keeping Columbus to just that 1 goal.
I didn't realize he was drafted by the Blue Jackets. That's a little revenge game.
Yes, yeah, definitely a revenge game, and that's got to feel good for Forsberg to stick it to them at Columbus and as a Senator. So yeah, he made some good saves on Domi later on in the game.
Gavrikov twice.
Yeah, Gavrikov, a really good save, and Voracek almost got around him, but Forsberg good positioning, and Voracek was forced to put that puck right at the side of the net. So Forsberg really stood tall here, and he was well deserving of first star of the game.
3 years he played with the Columbus Blue Jackets, only getting into 10 games, however, and now he gets a win against them, which would be the same amount of wins he had for them, as he went 1-8-0 in his time as a young goalie with the Blue Jackets. But it was great to see the confidence in him, the consistency throughout the game. I thought it was awesome. And now you're looking at a situation where, do you have 2 goalies who are playing well? Because it seems to have been either one or the other, or neither at all, that we're going to get this team wins, at least in the first half. So getting them feeling good about themselves is a huge boost, especially the young defense was a little different last night, because Jacob Bernard-Docker, we believe, had bumps and bruises. So DJ Smith said a few guys were dealing with them, and then all of a sudden he's taken out of the lineup. Bishop's taken out of the lineup, and in goes Victor Mete, sure, but Mete goes down in a usual spot with him beside Josh Brown, which leaves Erik Brandstrom as the number 1 right side defenseman on this team. Did you ever think you'd see the day?
No, literally never. Like, we've done projections of where Brandstrom might end up and who's going to be Chabot's partner. I don't think literally one time I said Erik Brandstrom, like, not at all. And not only for the fact that DJ Smith was very adamant he's not going to play small puck moving guys on their offhand side for defense, but also we weren't even sure Erik Brandstrom was going to get top 4 minutes, let alone right side top pair. And I think this is a testament to what Erik Brandstrom's been able to do, and he's really improved his game as of late. And now Erik Brandstrom's not just all about the offense. Like, his defending is getting much better. And for such a small, young guy who's often outsized and outmuscled in front of the net, I've liked his box outs in front of the net, and has been able to tie guys up and not have them kind of take advantage of his size. And that's what DJ Smith needs to see. And he's been seeing that, and he's rewarded Brandstrom with a great opportunity beside Chabot. And
not that we're always looking at the analytics, but when we do, it's always at naturalstattrick.com. They do a great job of, explaining them in a very concise manner. And when Erik Brandstrom was on the ice at 5-on-5, the Senators had 13 shots for, only 10 against. That is the 4th best percentage on the team, right above Thomas Chabot. Now, on the bottom end of it, if you're like, oh, it's just a stat, doesn't pass the eye test. Well, Josh Brown was last among Senators defensemen. But hey, those guys all got bailed out by Anton Forsberg, who's my Sens Central standout in tonight's game. We did a deep dive into all of our Sens Central standouts on the postcast that you can find available wherever you download your Locked On Senators podcast, including the replay of it on our YouTube. But if you can, after each and every Senators game, why not catch the postcast live? Oh, yeah. Pilsy and I will jump on. Pilsy was just getting off a plane, got to the hotel, managed to get on, watch the game, and then jump on and get you immediate reaction. Sometimes, though, when you have a busy day like that, you got to power up. And that's where our friends at Built Bar come in, because Built Bar is the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. And because you're friends of Locked On Senators, we're giving you 15% off at BuiltBar.com. You got to go to the website, see them all for yourself, because they come in 16 different amazing flavors. They're all 100% covered in chocolate, soft and easy to chew. But the variety is really what gets me, because each morning you wake up and the mix box is the way to go, because you look at it, you're like, oh man, I can have this, or this, and it's all going to provide me with a healthy balance to start my day. So go to BuiltBar.com, use LOCKED15, promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off your next order. It's Built Bar, the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. Promo code LOCKED15 gets you 15% off your next order. All right, Pillsy. So the Ottawa Senators win 2-1, the final score over the Columbus Blue Jackets. We haven't even got to the first goal, which happened pretty quickly, just about 8 minutes into the game. And man, this team was humming off the get-go. That Tyler Ennis, coming off being a healthy scratch 2 games in a row, he had about 2 great chances in the first 6 minutes, and then he ends up setting up Artem Zub, or if you're the Columbus Blue Jackets announcers, Zub.
Zub.
Yeah,
I don't
Zub.
that chant doesn't slap the same.
No.
It just doesn't hit. Yeah.
No.
So definitely the Zub chant would have been great if there were Sens fans with boots on the ground in Columbus.
We had one in Washington on
Washington.
Saturday. We didn't get to shout him out. So we haven't even touched really on the Washington game. That will point people to the postcast for Saturday as we went on with at Leems Martian. We always had a great chat with him, but I'm scrolling through our Twitter feed because I do want to give stick ups. One of our favorite things about Sens Central on Twitter is when fans tag us when they're at road games. That gets me so fired up. And on Saturday, it was Bobby Mueller at Super Mueller, who was boots on the ground to see the Senators gain a point in Washington. But Pillsy, just want to get that out there. When you talk about Zub, the fans come up right away. But Zub, this guy's a goal-scoring machine now. He gets his 4th of the year, most among all Sens defensemen.
Yeah, you love to see it. And hey, that was a very similar goal to Thomas Chabot. I mean, not a blistering slap shot, but a point shot that makes it through traffic. And we need some offense from these guys, right? Like Chabot needs to start scoring some of these goals. Ross, I was checking it out. It's insane. Thomas Chabot has 97 shots. That's second on the team, only behind Brady Tkachuk, but he's only got 2 goals. So some of these got to start going in. So it's great to see that the Sens can utilize that point shot as a weapon, because that's going to open things up for their forward. Now teams realizing, okay, this isn't just a team of defensemen trying to figure it out offensively. They've got some jam, and they can get it through and into the net if they get the right opportunity. And Tyler Ennis sets up Zub nicely, and that one sneaks through and sends Ross. This is very rare, but I feel like how many games in a row have they scored first now? Like, this has been a really nice change of pace here, a refreshing change of pace that they're ending up starting with the lead.
Yeah. Did they score first? No, Pittsburgh. Dominic Simon scored first. But other than that, they've gotten now 2 games in a row that they've scored first, but also a situation where if you look back from before the Buffalo-Pittsburgh losses. So it's really correlated with them getting points is what I'm trying to say, right? That the Calgary game, the Edmonton game, games where you're able to get out to a lead, it's just so much more fun to watch because, you're not chasing the game and all that. By the way, Tyler Ennis, 1 for 1 in the face-off dot. This guy's like 90%.
Best to ever lace him up.
But he did play over 12 minutes, which was notable because he'd been last among forwards in ice time for multiple games before being a healthy scratch for 2. Clark Bishop comes in, holds the fort. However, Tyler Ennis was buzzing last night. 6 shots on goal, Pillsy. He led all Senators in shots and only played 12 minutes.
You think that's a direct message to DJ Smith? That's a subtweet there. Hey, you don't want to healthy scratch me because I got to produce so much offense for this team. And for a team, Ross, we talked about it, the 3rd and 4th line scoring just isn't really there. So to insert a guy like Tyler Ennis in your lineup and get that kind of offensive output for him, like 6 shots on goal, that's incredible. And I don't want to see Tyler Ennis healthy scratch much more, to be honest, because this team needs that little boost. And also, he's one of the few veterans in that forward core now with Connor Brown out. Like, it's crazy to look at that. So I think Tyler Ennis is deserving of a spot in the bottom 6 for sure. And I love seeing him out there. I think the boys get fired up about him too.
Well, that bottom 6 actually played more than guys in the top 6 at 5-on-5 last night. When you're looking at contributing, Tyler Ennis is a guy that should and could help the power play, but it hasn't been that way for this Ottawa Senators team of late. They've gone 3 straight games now without scoring on the man advantage. And how important would a goal have been in that situation against Pittsburgh when they had come back all the way to make it 5-4. They had that chance with 2.5 minutes left. Didn't go their way. Then they go 0 for 2 against Washington and now 0 for 3 against Columbus. Do you know what's ailing this power play? Is it just a matter of waiting for the dam to burst? Because it had been so good before. They went 2 for 3 against Edmonton and then got another one on the power play against Buffalo.
Yeah, I found after the Alberta trip, they were able to get into the zone, but they just weren't able to sustain any pressure. I think it was the Buffalo game we talked about it. Like as soon as they got into the zone, Buffalo was able to apply pressure and clear it very quickly. But that wasn't the case in last night's game, as Lalim's Martian pointed out in the postcast. They just weren't able to enter the zone. Like they just couldn't even get through the neutral zone and able to break into the O zone. And you're not gonna have any success if you can't even enter the O zone on a power play. And with the face-off guys struggling in the dot, I mean, this was much better than before. We'll touch on that with Dylan Gambrell for sure. But with not having guys like Timmy not being able to win draws, that's not going to help your power play either, because he's one of the top guys there. So I think for the Senators, it's with their power play, if it's not one thing, it's another. Like they're not always able to put it all together. But if you're able to hold on to a 2-1 win without any help from your special teams, from your power play, that just goes to show how well these guys are playing at 5-on-5 and even strength, and how well they've improved defensively, and they're not giving up or squandering these leads. And hey, Anton Forsberg playing really well is a big factor of that too.
100%. Could not agree more. So the Ottawa Senators now sit with a record of 12, 20, and 3 for 27 points. Good for second last in the Eastern Conference. Only ahead of a team you want to be ahead of, and that's the Montreal Canadiens. However, the team that sits just one spot ahead of them is coming to the Canadian Tire Center tomorrow, and that is the Buffalo Sabres, who have a 5-point advantage on Ottawa, but have played 6 extra games. Same can be said for the Philadelphia Flyers, who are 1 point ahead there. So there's plenty of time to make up some ground, and some fans are yelling in their car, hammering the steering wheel, saying, give me Shane Wright, give me another top 5 pick. But right now, there's so many young kids in this lineup that I just want to see them continue to develop and worry about wherever the draft lottery balls fall. That's where they fall. I don't think that there's so much of a separation in this upcoming draft between like 2 and 10. But we saw the 10th overall pick do about as much as the 11th in last night's game. Cole Sillinger hit 1 post on a delayed power play, but otherwise, I didn't notice him a whole lot. What was your assessment of his game? Because clearly he'll be intertwined with Sens fans for quite a while until we see Tyler Boucher.
And intertwined with me too. Like it's tough for me to let that one go, because I mean that was a nice shot that he got off and it rings off the post, but still, this is a rookie guy playing on a rebuilding team, so he's going to have his struggles, and there's going to be some quiet nights. So I didn't notice too much other than that, but yeah, he's a guy like that. Just goes to show what kind of shot he has, right? Like that. If he doesn't beat or hit the post there, he's beating Forsberg. Like he had him beat for sure. So he's got one hell of a shot. And that's the thing too. Like, sure, you can kind of like say what you want about this Columbus Blue Jackets team, but they got some snipers on this team. So for them to be able to only allow 1 goal, and of course, Ross, it's Sean effing Corrali that gets the goal for the Columbus Blue Jackets. He's turning it up against the Sens as he was a playoff hero back when he was in Boston.
Game 5, double overtime in Ottawa. I still can't believe Ottawa had home ice in that series, but story for another day.
yeah, definitely. And then you got Patrick Laine, who I thought was not a factor in any way, shape, or form last night. And then like Voracek's not a sniper, but he's got a lot of skill. He set up the Sean Corrali goal, and he had a couple good offensive chances. So to keep him quiet was good. And then, we talked about it. Forsberg had a couple good saves on Max Domi as well. So for this Sens team to keep them at only 1 goal is actually pretty impressive, if you ask me.
They'd only done it once in the last 10 games. They beat Calgary 4-1 was the score on January 13th. And since then, the only other time was on home ice. The last time that they played with fans on home ice was December 11th when Brady Tkachuk had his first career hat trick, and Forsberg had a shutout in that game. So that's really good to see. 2 games. And then, of course, Calgary was Matt Murray playing his best hockey as well. We don't know who we'll see in that game on Tuesday. That's something for tomorrow's Locked On Senators. We did, however, just see 3 players reassigned to the Belleville Sens from the NHL. And I think one name will really surprise you. We'll react to that in a moment. But Pilsy, first, a word from our friends at BetOnline.
Oh, yeah. Guys, if you were betting on the Sens in last night's game, if you were betting on NFL playoffs, the best place to do it is betonline.ag.
Cincinnati Bengals?
Ooh, the Bengals, who day? They're going to the AFC Championship round. And hey, not gonna lie, that's a pick I actually had for once, and I ended up cashing in a couple shekels at betonline.ag, and you can do the same. This is some of the best NFL football we've seen, so I hope you guys were off the sidelines and into the action. And like we keep talking about, the Sens are going to be playing 1 billion games in the next couple months, so you need to get in on that as well. And as a loyal listener of the Locked On Senators podcast, we're going to make things easier for you to get off the sidelines and into the action. Head to betonline.ag today. You can sign up and make an account for free. And when you're doing that, in a little box that says promo code, use our promo code Locked On. If you're watching on YouTube, it's right at the bottom here. And if you're listening, Locked On is your promo code to get a 50% welcome bonus. So how that works, let's say you put $100 in, 50% of that is 50. Math guy here, Ross, you're going to get 50% worth of free play. That's $50 of free play in your account. Thanks to the Locked On Senators podcast. You're welcome, guys. And thanks to our friends at betonline.ag. So head there today, make your free account, and use our promo code Locked On at betonline.ag. They are your online sportsbook experts.
All right, Pills, I'm leaving that in. So the Ottawa Senators win 2-1, 1-1-1 on the road, and now they come back for 4 straight home games. And there's some difficult ones in here, no doubt. The Buffalo Sabres, who beat Ottawa last week, they're in on the Tuesday. Then on Thursday, the Carolina Hurricanes, who dominated Ottawa, but they got Forsberglered in Carolina when Ottawa started the whole stretch of good hockey with that win in Carolina. So they're in town. And then Anaheim, we know what happened after that game. Matt Murray gets put on waivers after they lose down there. And then Edmonton, you feel good about how you played against them in the third period, erasing a 2-goal deficit and winning on the road. So this is going to be an important stretch coming up, because we know that not only do the Sens have a lot of games in hand on teams right now, Pilsy, but many of those games in hand will be on home ice. So fans or no fans, Ottawa has to use last change, putting their stick down first or last in the face-off dot, which is going to be a huge bonus with the way that the Sens have taken draws of late. So this is an important stretch. What are you hoping record-wise in this 4-game stretch?
Well, since it's not a road trip, we're not looking at 1-1-1 or anything like that. And it's
Can't
4
do that
games,
when there's
so,
4 games.
Yeah, math guy, that just doesn't work out. But look, Buffalo, you should be able to win that game. Last game against Buffalo was a winnable game. So we're getting one there, Ross. Carolina, you know what? I'll say they can bring that one to overtime, but just can't quite get it done. So 1-0-1 right now. The Ducks are super hot. So there goes the 1-1-1 schedule. And the Oilers, they are just spiraling out of control. So the Sens are going to Sens them. So I think we're going to have a 2-1-1 record here with this 4-game homestand.
Okay, let's hope. I think that's
attainable, right?
At minimum, yeah, at minimum. So I mentioned that we just got some news across the wire. The Senators communication team says they've sent 3 players down to the Belleville Senators. Logan Shaw from the taxi squad. He did not get into any games. Filip Gustavsson, who I think is expected as well, because of course, now you've got Forsberg playing well. Matt Murray is back, healthy, dressed. And the third player, Jacob Bernard-Docker, being sent down to the Belleville Senators. Are you surprised that they decided he's not in the NHL full-time just yet?
I am surprised, Ross. Yeah, because we've talked about it. He's the kind of guy where you're like, oh, JBD, low-key, great game once again. And I really thought DJ Smith was kind of taking a shining to him and was really enjoying what he was doing and really trusting him a little bit more. But, you know, maybe those bumps and bruises are a little more than we know. And maybe also, Ross, I feel like this could be, trying to showcase some guys that may be on the trading block come trade deadline here. And there's a lot of games coming up here, so maybe you want to shelter a younger guy and not have him go through such a rigorous NHL schedule. And I mean, JBD was just getting taxi squad on off days anyways. So,
Yeah.
but the Belleville Senators don't play till Friday. So it is a little bit surprising, especially since they got a 4-game homestand, that you wouldn't keep them in for maybe the Buffalo and Carolina game, then send them down. So that's an interesting move for sure.
I think you nailed it with trying to showcase Victor Mete, trying to showcase Josh Brown as much as you can, and see what happens. And then you're looking at a situation where it just happened with Lassie. Now, I don't think Lassie maintained his solid play in the NHL as long as JBD has.
Yeah.
I think JBD was very solid in the game against Pittsburgh, especially Buffalo as well. Washington, I thought he was all right. He took a huge hit in the Pittsburgh game, right? That's what prompted the Austin Watson fight with Brian Boyle. So maybe that had something to do with it. But I also, what I was getting at with the comparable to Lassie Thompson is that after his extended about the same amount of games, 8 for JBD. I want to say Lassie played 9, maybe. And
sounds about right.
He went down afterwards and dominated the AHL. He still is. So hopefully maybe the Senators see a little more offense in JBD eventually. And they're like, okay, you got your taste. You're steady. We know you could be that defensively minded guy. Now go down and run a second power play unit in the AHL. Run offensively. Try to carry the puck a little bit more. Get some more touches on the go, and then come back after the trade deadline, and we'll see where you're at then. That's my only rationale, because personally, I wouldn't have made this move. I would have kept JBD up. I thought he looked really good beside Thomas Chabot. You've been trying, but I think that even the fans who hate this move will be like, well, if we're getting Erik Brannstrom beside Thomas Chabot, then it's okay.
Yeah, and I think that's the big difference maker here is it's Erik Brannstrom's time to shine. And another thing too, Ross, like now that Belleville has Uncle Deli, Lassie Thompson, and JBD, like that's a good decor for Belleville. And
Cody Golubeff.
Yeah, hey, can't forget PTO special Cody Golubeff. But the thing too is, Ross, this Belleville team needs to start clicking. They're still last in their division, but the playoffs are still attainable, which sounds crazy when you're last in your division, but they play so many divisional games and it's a close race. All those teams are close and all those teams are beatable, like Syracuse, Laval, the Marlies. They can beat those teams on any given night. So to boost up that decor, I think will do a lot of good for them. And the Senators, they need Belleville to get a chance to play in meaningful games. That's so important for their development. And like when we were working there, Ross, and our season got cut short and they didn't get to go on that big playoff run, Pierre Dorion mentioned it in the offseason. That was one of the most disappointing things all season, is that Belleville didn't get a chance to have guys like Norris, Batherson, Formanton go to playoffs and make a Calder Cup run, because that goes such a long way for these guys' development, for their chemistry. And let's be honest, if you're playing for the Ottawa Senators, you haven't played in a meaningful game for a long time. So it'd be good to get some meaningful games somewhere in this organization.
Do you remember the story from at the end of the 2019 season where, or was it the pandemic? It must have been the pandemic season. Yeah, 2020, because Brady was still on his entry level and Brady and Thomas Chabot wanted to go down for playoffs. That would have been absolutely insane.
Yeah, I don't think it would have made sense for Chabot.
Insurance-wise either.
Yeah, exactly. But it would have been amazing to see Brady Tkachuk play in Belleville, especially like we would have got the top line of Tkachuk, Norris, Batherson in Belleville. Like, oh my God, that would have been incredible. They would have dominated.
But as it should be, Brady Tkachuk has no idea where Belleville is and never will need to know either, because that guy just screams NHL. Although the top line maybe not as hot as they once were, and that caused a shuffling yesterday. We've seen this combination before, but Tim Stützle, Alex Formanton, and Drake Batherson spent a chunk of time in last night's game together. I've got the shifts at even strength up right now. Norris, Tkachuk, Batherson played 4 minutes together at even strength. Stützle, Formanton, Batherson played 6 minutes together. And then it was Zach Sanford up with Tkachuk and Norris for almost 8 minutes. But they're all trumped by the favorite line. Yes, I am now dubbing it DJ's favorites. Gambrell, Nick Paul, and Austin Watson played nearly 13 minutes together at even strength, almost double any other line. Why?
For a really good reason, Ross. Tim Stützle absolutely struggled in the faceoff dot, and I say that generously because he was 0 for 6. There's a lot of other words you could use for that struggle, especially going 0 for 5 in the offensive zone. that's tough. That's where you don't get sustained pressure and sustained power play time. But Dylan Gambrell, on the other hand, deserves stick taps, and he was my Sens Central standout because he went 12 for 14, good for 86%, including in the defensive zone. This has been the shutdown line, right? He went 11 for 13 for 85%. So, like, this is so important to finally get a guy who can win faceoffs effectively, and DJ Smith was relying on him heavily, and that's where you see Watson get all this ice time because he's attached to Nick Paul and Gambrell, and when Gambrell's slinging him back in the faceoff dot like that, it's impossible not to use him in high-pressure situations, especially in the defensive zone.
There was a game against Florida where Watson played even more, almost 18 minutes, but last night was his second highest time on ice this season, and his third highest was against Washington. And how's this for an interesting statistic? Austin Watson's games with the most ice time this season, the top 7 are all on the road. So DJ clearly relying on the grinders when you're trying to shut down other teams' top lines. You don't get last change. And I think that would probably stand true for Gambrell and Nick Paul as well, although Nick Paul does it all. He's been all over the lineup. Dylan Gambrell, though, is very good to point out. I'm glad you gave him some props for what he did in the faceoff dot because the Sens need that. And without Gambrell being as good as he was last night, and I'm trying to get the percentage on that, 86%, they would have been well under 50 again. But instead, they win the faceoff battle. They get more percentage down. A lot of people are telling me that faceoffs don't matter as much with analytics, but isn't it directly tied to possession? I found that pretty strange that apparently it doesn't matter. And when you look at the leaders in faceoff percentage as a team, the top 3 teams in the league are all really good, but the Colorados and other teams like that are at the bottom of the league. So it's not the be all end all, but it is, I think, especially for a young team, important to touch the puck and feel good about getting control right off the draw.
Absolutely, yeah. And Ross, maybe what people are kind of insinuating at when they kind of have that counterpoint is a face-off win doesn't always result in possession because, and the Sens did this a lot. I think against Washington, I noticed it is they were winning the draw, but then losing the possession almost immediately. Like Norris or whoever would win it, but wouldn't snap it all the way back cleanly, and then the other team would end up getting it and get possession. So a face-off win doesn't always turn into sustained possession. So I can kind of see where people are coming from, but I mean, if you're looking at it from a bigger picture, the face-off win percentage, it needs to go up for the Senators, regardless of whether they're getting the possession or not after.
Final point from last night's game, and we already touched on the offensive output of Artem Zub, but you really can't say enough about what this Nick Holden, Artem Zub pair has done for the Senators' defensive coverage.
Yeah, honestly. And I'm at a point now, Ross, where I don't want the carousel of veteran free agent defensemen to keep spinning. Let's stop that carousel.
You want to hold it on to Nick?
Yeah, let's hold it on to Nick Holden. I like that idea a lot. And I think he's just so electric with the bike helmet celebrations. Also, Ross, we got to shout out Timmy, first ever two-time recipient of the bike helmet and goggles. Safety first for the young German superstar.
Safety first. I'm pulling up that photo right now from last night. Tim Stützle being awarded from Josh Norris. And Norris, he almost gave it to Nick Holden, but Tim Stützle, and his hand still taped up. You see that?
No, I didn't notice.
Look at Timmy's left hand right there. So you wonder if that's affecting how he's playing in the draw, or maybe it's just a comfort thing because we know Timmy's a weirdo when it comes to stick tapes and all of that. But hey, he is electric on the ice. And just in case you don't believe us that Timmy is a 2-time champ, there you go, Tim Stützle. That, I believe, was after the Colorado game where he scored twice and then they won in overtime. Brady still yet to receive the helmet and glasses.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because think about it. The game he would have was the hat trick against Tampa, but that's Anton Forsberg's first career shutout. So it was weird because the game against Carolina, they shouted out Forsberg. That's when they started doing in the locker room after each game, but they didn't give him the helmet and glasses. I don't know if they forgot it at the start of the trip, but he didn't get it that game. So Tim Stützle, first 2-time award winner, and rightfully so, because this might be Tim Stützle's first time as the highlight of the night. That was an unbelievable individual effort, although individual from the blue line in, because you mentioned it, Alex Formenton continues to just accelerate offensively. He gets another assist last night, and now he's a point per game player through the last 12, Billsy. That's insane.
Yeah, my guy Formenton has really stepped it up. And hey, Ross, you think Tim Stützle's agent isn't bringing the fact that Tim Stützle was a first ever 2-time bike helmet winner when a contract talk comes up? You're kidding yourself, because he's definitely bringing that up. What an honor for Tim Stützle. And yeah, those two together, now we're at a point where they got to be on the same line no matter what. Like, you cannot separate Formenton and Stützle because the results are just too hot.
So since December 2nd, that game against the Carolina Hurricanes, up until now, the Senators have played 15 games. Only Brady Tkachuk, who's tied with him. So only Drake Batherson has more points than Alex Formenton. Formenton, 14 points in his last 15 games, and he's a team best +7. And say what you want about plus minus, but when you're that much better than your line mate, Tim Stützle, who's -8 in that same stretch, I think it really does speak to what he does at both ends of the ice. He's got 12 even strength points on that span and 2 shorthanded goals. So this is just an incredible piece of development for the Ottawa Senators. That 2017 draft, they whiffed so hard on the first rounder, although now they have 2 first rounders from that draft, Josh Norris and Eric Brandstrom on their team. But they got rid of Shane Bowers, I think, at a great time, because he's the only first rounder from the year who hasn't played an NHL game yet. Can you believe that?
Wow, that's very surprising.
The only guy. And now you look at what they got in the second round that year with Alex Formenton and the 4th round with Drake Batherson, and all of a sudden it looks like a pretty good draft class.
In Trent Man, we trust.
We sure do. And Tim Stützle gets a highlight reel goal. Couple more notes on our way out, courtesy our good friend at Sens Prospects. Did you see that Leevi Meriläinen stopped 2 penalty shots in 1 period on the weekend?
Whew, no, I missed that. That is incredible, man. Ice in his veins for Leevi. Yeah, you gotta love that.
And he gets another victory as well. This, you have to go on to Sens Prospects Instagram. He was the first star of the game, and they were both in the 3rd period. They won 5-2, but at the time, you got to be real nervous when you get not 1, but 2. First time in franchise history that a Frontenac's goalie has stopped 2 penalty shots in 1 period. Meanwhile, Zack Ostapchuk sealed the win for Vancouver Friday night into an empty net, but Ostapchuk now has 4 points over his last 4 games. And as always, we got to stick taps our boy Carson Latimer getting his first glimpse of national TV coming up on TSN. But not to end off negatively, because who knows if this is negative in the long run. But the Nodak Sens have lost 4 games in a row. I can't remember the last time that's happened. I don't think since we've been fans our whole life since the start of last year.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say we were born Nodak Sens fans. Absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely a concerning thing to follow along. But I mean, you know, is it good? Is it bad? No, it's neutral, Ross, because either way, Sanderson could come to the pros early, or he can go on a run with North Dakota. Either way, it's all good after he is an Olympian to add to his resume. So that I'm not worried about it at all. Whenever we see Jake Sanderson, I will welcome it.
Let's hope we can go on a run. Locked On Senators had its biggest week ever, both in the audio space and on YouTube, and we hope to keep that rolling. We almost doubled our previous high. So this has been an awesome week for the show, and we appreciate everyone for making Locked On Senators your first listen of the day, wherever you get your podcasts. And we hope to continue this well beyond 500 episodes. Today was episode 479. We're inching ever so close. We've got more great guests coming up, but if you ever miss an episode, you can go back and there is plenty to choose from the postcast to great interviews. And if you want an easier view of them all, we've got playlists broken down on our YouTube channel. So please go there, subscribe, like the video, hit that thumbs up. It goes a very long way. And hopefully the Sens can continue buzzing, because since the postcast began, they're well over 500, which is a lot to say for a team that's in 30th place in the National Hockey League. But for today, we say goodbye. Pilsy and I will be back tomorrow for a full preview of another game against the Buffalo Sabres. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.